SK.
All right, you guys take care.
Wash
You
your
too.
hands,
Love
Sarge. Okay.
Will do.
Okay. 9:25. Let's go keep it on the law enforcement side and bring on Major Anton Ugan from the Department of Corrections. Good morning, Major.
Good morning. Good morning, Chris.
Did you guys get any of these Godiva chocolates that were donated from DFS Guam to the Office of the Governor and for public employees working this COVID-19 pandemic emergency? Did any of these Godiva chocolates make their way over to the Department of Corrections?
Yes, they did. Yes, we got several boxes of it, and they distributed to the different divisions.
Did you get one?
Well, there's some here at the office, but no, I didn't get any myself. No.
Right.
But they're here. There's some here if you want one.
Where are you in, Doc? Major, you didn't get any? What? They didn't offer, Lana?
I just didn't eat any, but there's some boxes here at the director's office.
That's good. And so how are you guys planning to divvy that out? I mean, do you have enough for the staff there?
Well, we gave most of it out already to the different divisions to pass out to the officers, so I'm not really specific. I know caseworkers, the parole officers, every division was given several boxes to give out to their staff.
Right, and then I saw over at GDOE, the grab-and-go school lunch workers at MU Lujan were treated with chocolates from the governor's office on April 27, which is, so they wonder how many chocolates. Okay, so I did ask Carlo Branch about this, the Adelou policy director, and he had told me that DFS donated 141 cases.
Right.
Cases?
Of Godiva chocolate.
How much is in each case?
I've never been at that level to get a case of Godiva. I mean, you know, I save my extra money and get an ice cream cone down there in Tumon, but... Are you guys okay with that with your diabetes, though?
I mean, you know, we give it out to them. It's up to them if they wanted to eat it or not, I guess.
But hey, thanks. That's cool. That's good.
It's the candies to hold you over till you get your stimulus.
Yeah. After they take their metformin, then they can eat some.
I guess on to, you know, we had heard from Robert Koss, the Guam Federation of Teachers, that Department of Corrections is 7 weeks behind in paying overtime. Is that accurate, Major?
Seven pay periods? No, yeah. I don't. I need to check on that. I don't think we're that far behind, but I would need to reconfirm with our payroll staff.
How far do you think you are behind?
You know what? I was only thinking a few pay periods, 3 or 4 pay periods, not that many though. Not 7 or 8.
7, I think is. He said 7. Did he say 7 pay periods or 7 weeks?
I think he said 7 pay periods.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So why do you guys wait so long to pay out the OT, Major? Because then it becomes like, you know, instead of paying a little bit every pay period, all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, $20 million or whatever it is.
Well, and again, you know, because we are accumulating a lot of overtime,
right?
Especially with this activity going on, and our budget for overtime, you know, we don't receive. We only budget a certain amount for the whole year,
right?
And when we go over our budget due to the manpower shortage and stuff, of course, our allotments are, as they come in, it's not enough to cover that particular pay period. So we have to wait until several allotments come in order to pay a pay period or 2 out.
Right. But you know what's sad to me, Major, is that I know that the COs over there, they're used to it. They're used to working all these crazy hours and, you know, going a couple months without getting paid for it. And I just think that's a problem for me.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I've been here 26 years, and you know, in all my years here, that's the way overtime has basically been. We work it, because our allotments are not enough to cover the entire pay period. We have to wait until several allotments are in until we can pay 1 or 2. So most of us have already got used to it, and we kind of expected it already. You know, still not the way we would prefer, but you know, it's
maybe you could give it to them partial in chocolates.
You give it to them. I don't know if they want to accept that in chocolate.
Yeah, I'm kidding.
You guys just got some recruits that you picked up. They're now full-time, right? DOC employees. And, you know, you guys have always had this shortage in manpower. But how much of a dent does it realistically make to have these new recruits come on board officially?
Oh, it helps. It helps greatly. Prior to all the recruits, we were down to about 150 some officers. Now we're over 200 of officers. So it really does help. I mean,
Yeah, it helps, but you're dealing with what, 200 officers to how many inmates and detainees?
right now our population is around 650. Yeah.
So it's been reduced a little bit with the early release, right, of the pretrial detainees.
Yes. Our numbers are not as great as it was pre-COVID, but still 600 some is a huge population to deal with.
You know, we talked to you, I think it was last week, about these. There was a corrections officer who refused to be drug tested or whatever, and then we'd heard that you tested a bunch of the inmates. Has there been any new developments with that?
No, sir, not on that one. With the other officers that we tested, they all came back negative.
Negative for drugs or negative for COVID?
No. Well, in regards to the drug testing,
Right. Okay.
we did drug testing on several officers a few weeks ago. One of them, he opted to resign instead of taking the drug test, and the others that did take the drug test, their results all came back negative.
How many officers are we talking about here, Major?
5, not including the one that refused the test.
Okay, and so what, as much as you can, what prompted these officers to get tested? Were they walking around looking like they were tweaking out or something, or?
No, part of our contraband enforcement, to try to minimize contraband in the prison and stuff, we had found drugs in one of the housing units, post 18, and we did shakedowns and we found some other paraphernalia items. And so to rule out the possibility of officers bringing it in or being involved, as one of our avenues to help deter it,
Right.
The director decided we're going to test those officers assigned to those posts that are constantly assigned to that particular post. And so that's how we got them tested. And again, out of the 6, 5 came back negative and 1 resigned.
Major, so in drug testing them, right, obviously the intent is to make sure they're not on the drugs, but how do we address that they could be bringing it in or slanging it in the prison, because the drug test doesn't cover that, obviously. So do you guys do an investigation too, or?
Well, we've also been doing, we've been doing more of the random bag inspections and stuff. So we've had IA along with our other officers, parole officers, and them. They come in before shift change, and we start and go more thoroughly with all the bag inspection of the staff coming in. We've also did increase our shakedowns, including even drug testing. We've been doing that on the inmates, some of the inmates, the housing unit. And so again, our intent is to discourage or prevent as much drugs from coming into the facility as we can.
Right.
Was there any vendors? Do you guys have vendors that still deliver?
Yeah, is anybody sticking the meth under the van or anything still? Are we checking that?
We do inspect the vendors' vehicles when they come in. We don't have a lot of vendors coming in.
Right.
It's just the food vendor, and their van goes through our service gate, and so the van is inspected every day. The vendors do also wear masks, and the vendor's been here before. They've done business here before, so they understand our rules and our searches that we are required to do.
Mm-hmm. But if contraband is getting in and you don't have visitation, it's kind of...
Yes, that's why, the drug test amongst the officers and the staff was the director's other option. Right. We still have issues with contraband being thrown over our perimeter. We've caught a few. Not to say that we've caught everything, but, right. We continue to step that up, and like with the addition of new officers, we're able to man the perimeter a lot more now than we were in the past. So if you drive by oftentimes you'll see officers now on the stationary post outside the perimeter. So that's even one benefit of why we have these extra officers here.
Right. Major, but we hear news like this that you guys are suspecting your own of bringing in drugs and whatever other contraband. It just takes us back to the headlines of a couple years ago, and I'm sure you know exactly what I'm talking about. So how far removed are we from the headlines of a couple years ago where it ended up looking like a massive conspiracy?
Yeah, of course, the possibility of staff bringing it in is always there. It's not unheard of. It has happened in the past. And so that's something we just try to deal with. And again, by baggage inspection, drug testing, and other shakedowns and other activities, hopefully we deter the officers from even getting involved in that. Even our hiring process with polygraph tests and background checks and all that is meant to help recruit and retain, better officers, so that hopefully those kind of activities don't happen in the future. But nothing's ever 100% proof, and we'll prevent everything. But of course, we stay on top of it as best we can, and hopefully these officers would realize it's not worth it. It's not worth their career to do these things.
Mm-hmm. Right.
They will get caught eventually. I mean, like you said, what happened a few years ago.
Yeah, look how that turned out for the officers in question.
Yeah. So, and we do tell them that they do know that as part of the academy and part of the training is
hey, you guys, don't bring drugs into the prison because you could get arrested and you're going to be all over the media, and then they're going to give you what's less than a slap on the wrist. So, really stern message there. And it's not you, Major, and it's not you.
Yeah,
it is,
I know.
It's our Attorney General. So.
You get probation.
Yeah.
What did you say?
He said you get probation. Well, at least you can see it too.
At least they're not here. At least they're not here no more. And,
Amen.
It's not the job for them. So maybe they'll find something else that makes them happy.
Right. Okay. So where are we in terms of reopening the incoming for the inmates? When we talked to you a couple weeks ago, you said something about the director is considering it.
Yeah. So right now, Chris, when we go into PCOR 2 by the end of the week or next week, the director is looking at allowing incoming for personal hygiene items and things by next week, midweek next week, or by the end of the week next week. Mm-hmm. We're still working out the details, but it'll probably be towards Wednesday to Friday that we will start accepting drop-off incoming. So we're working on the operations plan, still trying to finalize some issues there, and what we're going to do is allow them to drive up, the families, and stay in their vehicle. Of course, they have to wear a mask, and they will drop off the items. The officers will inspect it. They'll be sanitized, and later that evening or so, or the next day, deliver it to the inmates in the housing units. So we're still working on the ops plan to finalize that, but that's what we're looking at right now. Mm-hmm. We once we really get it finalized, we will of course let all the inmates know, and they will be responsible to contact their families and inform them of the procedures that we would put in place, that we're going to put in place.
Right on, Major. Anything else you want to add in closing here?
Yeah, I wanted to ask. I believe it was it an interview, or maybe it was during one of the press conferences at Adelup, and Lister Carlson was there, and because there's this budget plan that was submitted to the legislature, and there's actually funding for the Department of Corrections. Did you get a chance to see any of that? Were you a part of submitting? This is our kind of COVID wish list.
Yeah, when this COVID started, they did ask us for list of items and things that we need to get done in response to this COVID. So the deputy director, the director, and the other division heads worked on putting together a list, which we submitted down to the governor's office as request. Most agencies did. I did have a chance to see that based on the governor's breakdown and what we're supposed to get. And the director and the deputy are working on that, on ironing it out and, making a few adjustments to it. And so, yeah, we did submit our request in, and, we did see that we got some money there. So next step, I guess, is to start working on the procurement side of the house and figure out how what's the next step to get the items here.
Right, like I can see here video communications to present detainees from court hearings as opposed to physical transportation, but there's like a 2.1 million, and this is for food contract, fire retardant mattresses, bed frames, toilet replacements, fever screening, thermal camera, water system repair upgrade, face shields, isolation.
One of the things we had to work on is trying to develop our COVID isolation unit. And some of the shortfalls that we have in addressing that is the lack of mattresses. We did get some orders in of mattresses, but again, our population is almost 700. And there's just the water pressure is not so good on the unit. So those are things we need to address and correct. And there's some other maintenance issues that we have to address. Toilet bowls, some need to replace. They work, but not as well as they should. And so we need to replace some of them and make sure that the unit is 100% functioning the right way. But again, that's what we expect when we're running a old facility like DOC. Maintenance becomes a real challenge in keeping the system running.
Yeah, I'm just surprised you guys didn't get more, actually.
Yeah, well, I was actually surprised we got that, but
yeah.
A day.
When I saw those numbers, I was like, wow, we did well.
Yeah, your eyes got big, huh?
Yeah.
Hopefully
we'll work with what we got, and of course, we know that as we develop our plan and start working out our plan and start making what we need to do, that if we need help or other resources, I'm pretty confident the director and the administration will work on getting what it needs to accomplish our mission.
You guys should get that overtime paid,
Double.
They got the CARES Act money, and that everyone seems to think that, that it could be used to cover that if it was caused by COVID.
Yeah. So, according to our personnel officer, we are 5 patriots behind.
5. Well, that's still a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot there.
Yeah. So,
how about you? You got any overtime coming?
No, unfortunately, I've worked overtime. I do work overtime, but I'm one of those exempt employees.
Right.
So even if I work overtime, I don't get paid overtime.
What about double pay, if double pay was being paid?
Yeah, how do you guys feel about double pay?
Well, of course, we're a little disappointed. When this thing first started,
Tell me the truth, a little or like a lot?
About the double time?
Yeah.
First, Major, let's just start this. You're the CEOs up there. They had been anticipating that they were going to get the double pay because they worked in other emergencies and they got it before. Correct?
Yes, that was the understanding when all this first happened. Is officers were asking about that, and again, a basic reading of the law. That was our understanding, but apparently now it's a little bit different. So. We're hopefully that they'll work it out between the legislature and the governor's office. They'll work it out and do what's right or what's just. And we're just going to have to continue to come to work and do what we got to do.
Yeah.
So that we.
How does the director feel about it? Does the director feel that the rank and file should be getting the double pay, or is he going to do what the governor says?
No, I mean, he supports the officers. I mean, Mr. Carbolito, he's also a
right.
police
Yeah.
officer.
And he's known. He
knows
how it
the
works.
double pay.
Yeah.
And,
He's tasted the double pay.
And he understands it. And again, we're just going to have to move forward. And again, I'm confident that between the legislature and the AG's office and the governor's office, they'll figure something out.
Are you guys under GFT? Some of you guys are, right?
Yeah, we have some officers that are under GFT, yes.
Are any plans? What are you hearing? They jumping on that lawsuit?
I haven't heard about that particularly, but I do know some officers have gone to GFT or have spoken to GFT about it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm almost certain that there will be a few included in that.
Wow, this is pretty interesting because you know, the agencies are not towing the line from Adelup. They're saying things like, "Hey, this is what we're supposed to get. What's the problem?" I think it's interesting. Maybe the problem is Adelup is, what did you say was a basic read of the law?
Well, we just understand that under the basic law, it just says when an emergency is declared, and of course, that's what happened here. And a lot of our officers were required to come to work. Civilian staff were required to go home. And it just, I don't know, it just felt like a typhoon minus all the wind and all the rain.
Right, yeah. Maybe Adelup's reading it upside down or something.
Well, I can't speak for that, but again, you know, we're going to continue to come to work, and our officers are still going to come to work and do what we have to do, and at the end of the day, hopefully everything will work out well, good for us.
Yeah. Thank you, Major.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Take care.
Yeah, thank you for the update. We try and get you on here every week to give us an update of what's going on at DLC, and we really appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank
All
you,
right.
sir.
Wash your
safe.
hands.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay, bye.
Well. So you're saying they thought they were going to get the double pay?
No double pay.
No, the rules do not apply to you, silly Chimera.
Stop. I tell you to stop, and I'm here
I know.
doing the same thing.
I know. Yeah, I mean, this is obviously going to be something that we're going to be talking about for a while because with this lawsuit, a GFT going down.
Yeah, so GFT